Meredith, thank you so much for coming on to the very first episode of the Grown and Greek podcast. And I am, elated. We have a long history, but I'm more so elated because of the work that you've done and just the evolution that I've seen, you become who you are and just being a force in a dynamic person. So I really, really appreciate you joining me for the very first episode.
Well, I am excited. Thank you for having me. This is exciting. I'm proud of what you're doing for our community, and I'm excited to see how this podcast is just going to blow up across the world. So I'm glad I'm just here to witness this, being number one, the very first person. I can always say that. I can always brag on it in the future.
Well, you are Meredith Lilly Esquire. Let's give you your kudos. But Meredith Lilly Esquire, and you currently serve as the senior advisor to U.S. Senator Reverend. I have to make sure I say that Raphael Warnock in the state of Georgia. So tell me, what is your day to day? Because I kind of know, we can text and we can see you in passing a lot, but for the listening audience, kind of tell us what your day to day routine or your day to day
Yes.
looks like.
It's so funny. I wish it was somewhat of a routine, but in this industry, day to day looks different every single day. In my mind, I can wake up and say, okay, the night before, tomorrow, this is what I'm going to do. It's going to be a smooth day. And every time I say that, it's a complete opposite. Generally, though, I'm an early riser. I'm a morning person. But you know what? Someone the other day said, you're an all day type person, which made my day. That was sweet for them to say. But
I would agree with that.
I consider myself a morning person. So generally, I will get up. But the first thing that I do, and everybody expect, I send a little meditation to a lot of people in my phone. I meditate on the word, and I send it to, or scripture, and I send it to a few, few people meaning like 50 people in my phone after I meditate on that. So I have a little quiet time with me and God every morning. I try to, at least on most mornings. And so that's usually generally 90% of my time. And I wake up so early because once my phone starts ringing, it is not going to stop all day long. And so even this morning, I talked to the mayor of Savannah. He called my phone at 6:28 this morning. And we ended up talking for 1 hour, and it's a Saturday morning. So generally my day starts very early, 4:30, 5:30. Most mornings I start off with some type of meditation prayer. From there, I start checking emails. We have a standard daily call with our staff that's mandatory every single day. And so that's generally how my day starts. And then depending on what the media cycle is that day, that generally determines how my day will be. You just never know what's going to hit the media nationally, and that generally determines how my day will flow. But my days consist of long phone calls with elected officials, long phone calls with staff, driving across the state of Georgia, visiting constituents, visiting stakeholders, having meetings on things that our stakeholders need and want. When I'm in D.C., the same thing, meeting with staff, members of our staff, meeting with lobbyists. So it's long meetings, long calls with labor, with pastors, just all different types of people.
So I don't mean to jump in, but it's a couple of things that I want to touch on that you've spoken about. But do you sleep? Like, when do you sleep?
Yeah, so my sleep patterns.
Like, real talk.
Yeah. I don't sleep a lot. I don't sleep much. But I've trained my body to kind of just live off of, generally 5 hours of sleep each night. I do sleep with my phone very close because sometimes we have late night calls at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And if something happened nationally, such as I was in Ireland, on October the 7th, 6 or 7, something we'll never forget, when Israel was bombed.
Yeah.
And so that I had to wake up early in the morning, get on phone calls from that point. So I do sleep with my phone very close to me, because you just never know, even locally. We have a water issue or some type of, bad mass shooting. Those are things that you have to get on immediately. So to answer
Hmm.
your question,
Now
I
you
don't get a
touched
lot
on
of sleep.
okay, okay. Well, I can tell you this. Every time I've seen you, pictures or video or even conversation or whatever, you never have bags under your eyes. So whatever you're doing, it's working. So you're always on point. But that's a testament, I think, to who you are too. So, but one thing that you talked about is like you start the day with daily meditation, and I remember like during the pandemic, 4 years ago or whatever, you being on your text chain, and I don't know how big your database got to, but I believe it was pretty significant, with the number of people. So can you kind of talk about why your faith is so important, and how that has driven you on your journey? I think that's important to kind of
Yes,
touch
I
on.
think what you were hinting at is that I started a daily prayer call 4 years ago, and it's
Yeah.
still going on. It's a lot of people on this daily prayer call. It is 7 days a week at 6:30 p.m. No matter where I am in the world, I am on that prayer call, and so that prayer call has gotten me through a lot of things, and so has it been helpful for so many people. We pray about our country. We pray about different things that's going on in the world, but my faith is my foundation of everything that I do. Where I am
Hmm.
now in life is because of the favor of God. I never thought in a million years you could have not told me 20 years ago that I would have worked for the first black president of the United States of America. You also could have told me years ago, I just wouldn't have believed it, to say that I would be the senior advisor, the first black woman senior advisor for the very first black U.S. senator. Those are things that I just would not have comprehended years ago, and it's something that I never dreamed of. And so I know that without a shadow of doubt, I'm here because God has me here, and I'm very grateful for that. And I know it's because of the favor, the grace, the mercy that's all over my life. And so, anytime I have a chance to, I give God all the glory, all the credit for Him in my life and where I am to this day. So my faith is the foundation. Again, you can ask Senator Warnock. We'll be in the car talking. If it's 6:30 goes off on my clock, hold on, Senator Warnock. It's time for the prayer call. He knows about the prayer call. Everyone knows about the prayer call, that I'm a part of, and I just thank God for that. But to answer your question and go back, faith is my foundation. Just like your name, faith is the foundation of everything that who I am and what I do. And I credit my parents for that, making sure that I was in church every Sunday, every Wednesday night for Bible study, and then being under a great pastor growing up in Birmingham, Alabama, Pastor Michael Moore at Faith Chapel Christian Center. He is one of the best teachers that I've ever come across in my life, and so I'm grateful for that.
So if anybody wants to join the prayer call, how can they do that? Can you
Oh,
put that out there?
yes.
Or is it invite
Yes.
only?
Yes. Unfortunately, I don't have the number in front of me, but there is a daily number. All they have to do
Okay.
is call in. You press that number, and it'll get you right in the call. We only have one request, and that is to mute your phones when you come on. But everybody is welcome to that prayer call, and we'll love to see anybody on.
So I can get that, and if anybody DMs the Grown and Greek podcast on Instagram, I can make sure that I link you to that, because it is powerful, it is strong. You have had some dynamic speakers, ministers, pillars in community, and just all walks of life, and just bringing people together under a common thread, and adding new meaning to putting God first. I think is spectacular. So kudos to that, and keep up the good work. But you talked about 20 years ago and not really having any kind of trajectory about what you would be doing now. And let's go back to that. I guess to that time, you are a member and a sister to me of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. You were initiated at the Chi chapter at Talladega College, HBCU. You went on to get your Juris Doctorate at Thurgood Marshall School of Law. But take me back to that 20-something-year-old Meredith real
Yes.
quick. And if you could tell her anything, what would you tell her?
Not to worry, not to worry, and don't take yourself so seriously. Like we do, I graduated law school at 24, 25 years old, and and although practicing law, I practiced criminal law, I practiced personal injury law, and then shortly after that I jumped right into politics, and all of that stuff is very serious job. But enjoy it. Take time to enjoy it. I wish even back on the Obama campaign, I wish I would have taken more pictures. I wish I would have taken more time to spend time with my colleagues. But it was just grinding
Mm,
so hard every day. I wish I took more time to just laugh in the moment. So whatever job that you're on, whatever you're doing in life, have fun with it, and that's what I incorporate now. Like we're gonna have some good times now on my job, and you work with me now. And again, it's very serious work, but I don't take myself as serious as I did in those early 20 years. And so I would encourage, if I could go back and tell my 20-something-year-old self something, I'll say, don't take, it's serious work, but don't take yourself so seriously. And so that's
yeah,
something that I would
I
I
can
would
agree.
yeah, I would definitely go back and say.
It's it's funny because I can totally agree with you, and I you put it so simply, but one thing that I would say about about it is, thinking back to that time was, man, I had a lot to learn.
Yeah.
But, it knowing now what I didn't know then,
Yeah.
I'm glad that I didn't know it
Right.
because my foundation wouldn't have been as I guess solid now. So
Absolutely.
all of those bumps and bruises and those times that you needed to, learn some things or whatever, and you look back and you're like, God, that wasn't a good decision. Or man, that was pretty fun or whatever. But yeah, just taking the whole thing and just saying, you know what? It is what it is. You can't take it so seriously. And did you enjoy the moments? And what are you going to do now to make a difference or make a change or teach the former or who's coming up what things are important so that they won't um not they will realize that they don't have to take themselves so seriously. So yeah, I think that's pretty good pretty good insight. But so bringing us kind of to the present, what you're doing now with Senator Warnock, and obviously we just finished a historic
Yeah.
um presidential campaign, and our sister, which is just the most amazing thing ever, Vice President Kamala Harris was a first Black woman to be nominated to run for the presidency and everything. How was that for you, being a first in your role, and how does it relate to just the climate and what has been established and rooted for not only the D9 but other Black women who aspire to be firsts
Yeah. So
in whatever they're doing?
yeah, so a couple of things. So we'll go back to Shirley Chisholm, a woman of Delta Sigma Theta,
Hmm.
who paved the way for me, but most importantly, she paved the way for Vice President Kamala Harris to run
Mhm.
for her seat. Shirley Chisholm ran for president, and I admire Shirley Chisholm so much. You just her story, just what I mean. She pushes me. Her spirit, I know, still lives on And so many of us, especially who work in politics, having Shirley Chisholm and her story around, and her trajectory. She was such a fighter. She was such a fighter. She was so
Yeah.
strong, and so many things were thrown against her, and she did not let the distractions stop her. Same way with Vice
Mm-hmm.
President Kamala Harris. You have so many distractions thrown at you as a Black woman in these leadership positions every single day. You have people talk about how you look physically. You know, you heard Vice President Kamala Harris. People were saying crazy things that she wasn't Black enough, or she wasn't white enough, or she wasn't Indian enough. You know, and then Shirley Chisholm, the same thing. She was too dark. All of these types of distractions come, to Black women in leadership, and so that helps me out. And so when I get these distractions that come against me in my leadership roles, I look at and I remember the things that Shirley Chisholm had to go through, or Vice President Kamala Harris had to go through, and I just say, I can make it too. I can do it too,
Mm-hmm.
and I can get through this, because all it is at the end of the day is a distraction. That's all it is. It's
Yeah.
just a distraction to get you off your game, and so you have to push
Mm-hmm.
through the BS. Is it annoying? Absolutely, it's annoying at times. But again,
Yeah.
it's a distraction. It's a distraction. And so when you keep that in your mind, that this is just a distraction to keep you off your game, and you keep that in the forefront, it's easy to sift through the BS. It's easy to sift through it.
So, how do you think, because in my life I've experienced being a first in some capacity or whatever, but it's just, I guess sometimes it makes me, I won't say angry, but it frustrates me that nowadays in 2024, and the world has been around all these years or whatever, that we're still experiencing firsts. Like, when is it going to be like the 10th
Yeah.
and the 12th and the
Yeah.
25th? How do you think we get there, Meredith? How
Yeah.
do you think we get there?
So that's on us. So my job, it is pressure, in terms of me being the first, but I'm also grateful because now I get to unlock the doors for those that come behind me, and I make sure I do that every day.
Mm,
There's no excuse. There
mm,
is no excuse. I'm in this position to also pull up other people that look just like me in these same positions. Point blank,
mhm,
period. This is why I'm here. So if you're in a position and you're first, or you don't even have to be a first, but if you're in a position of leadership and you're not helping someone that looks just like you, why are you even there? That's a question that you should ask yourself. That's something
mhm,
but here's the thing. If I leave my position today, I know for a fact I know for a fact that I have helped at the very minimum, 50 youth get hired in
mm,
positions of leadership. I
mm.
know that for a fact. So I will be very happy with myself. So and you can ask any of my mentees that I have in position. One of my mentees, Rick Hart, that's in the White House. Um, I also once he got into his position of leadership, I told him he always thanked me for helping him get to where he is. But I told him, don't thank me. Your job now is to pull up someone
Right.
else. That's how you thank
That's
me.
right.
That's how you thank me, and
Hmm.
that's how I thank Kasim Reed. That's how I thank Senator Warnock. That's how I thank Commissioner Marita Davis Johnson. That's how I thank Michael Thurman. That's how I thank Congressman Hank Johnson. And the list goes on and on. I thank them by pulling somebody else up, by helping someone
Hmm.
else get to a position of leadership or get in a position, period. So that's what we can do. That's what we should be doing. And if you're not doing that, then shame on you.
That's right. That's right. I agree with you. I say kind of the same things when I'm able to, be called upon. That's what I say. When I'm called upon, I'm gonna step up to the plate. But when I finish my job, I ask the question, did that help you? And if the answer is yes, then my request after that is, okay, when it's your time, because your time is going to come where you can help somebody. Make sure that you're intentional about exactly what I did for you, so that everything is cyclical. It continues to go. It continues to go. And so nobody has to get off the train, because we're always going, we're always moving, and we ultimately get to a point where, it makes sense and everybody's able to help everybody. So at this point, you've accomplished a whole lot, and some unprecedented accomplishments that, we'll look back in the history books and see your name. Where do you see yourself in 5-10 years from now? What do you see yourself doing? Who is Meredith Lilly 5-10 years from now?
Oh wow, that's that's a loaded question. Especially because honestly, um, this is not a traditional answer. I am not a planner in the sense that I've had my whole life planned out. I wrote a plan
Mm-hmm.
out in college, and none of that stuff happened the way that I thought it was gonna happen. And so I just stopped planning, and I kind of just go with the flow of what God is doing in my life, and it's tremendous. But with that, I want to just tell people, like, with that plan and flowing with God, there's no part of that being lazy and just stagnant. I'm never just laying
Mm-hmm.
back and just sitting back and just waiting on God to do something. I'm constantly moving. And then he constantly puts me where I need to be. So, but if I had my way, and we can come back and listen to this in 5 or 10 or, years, I would say that I would, a dream of mine is to be, in leadership on a presidential campaign. And when I'm saying leadership,
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying 1, 2, or 3 in charge on
Oh,
a presidential campaign. I love Donna Brazile. Donna Brazile was the first black female first black woman to run a presidential campaign, which was Al Gore. And so
yeah.
I'm proud of her, and I'm always proud of her. And every time I see her, I let her know. So I would love to do that. I also would love to be in a leadership position in the White House at some point. So those are my personal dreams. And so
Mm-hmm.
we'll come back and listen to this podcast in some years and see if that happens for me one day. But those are dreams that I have. I'm in a leadership position, like I said now, with a U.S. senator, and it's been
Mm-hmm.
a dream job of mine. It's truly been a dream job of mine. But I think in some years, I would love to see myself in a leadership position in the White House. And again, I've been on presidential campaigns. I've worked for um, President Obama, and I was in leadership positions in various states. But I want to be in a
Yeah.
leadership position at the very top of a presidential campaign. And so we'll see if that happens one day.
Ain't no doubt, and ain't no doubt in my mind. So, yeah, ain't no doubt in my mind. But so let's talk real quick about HBCU
Mhm.
and being a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha, and how that has been important to shaping your life and your career, but also, give some, I guess, advice about, what we can do as a collective to ensure that it goes nowhere, and the work continues to be done.
Well, I just want to just thank all of D9, all my brothers and sisters that showed up and showed out, not just for this race, but just over and over and over. Local races, races, presidential races over and over for years and years. We always show up. We always show up. We said that black men that weren't gonna vote, all that stuff was a myth. It was a big lie. Black men showed
Mm-hmm.
up and showed out during this election like they always do. Black women, what is it to say? We always do what we're supposed to do. And so
Yeah.
we carry the Democratic Party. We do. Consistently. And so what we do know is historically black people didn't always have the right to vote. What we do know is that D9 in our communities, we show up, we mobilize, we energize, we organize. That's what we do. We go into our churches, we go into our communities, we pull out people to vote, we register for people to vote, and we just have a good time doing it. We dance and we have just a great time doing it, and that's something that we just got to continue to do. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We're already doing it. There is no doubt that Black people didn't show up and show out during this past presidential election. And so we just got to continue to do the work. We've always done it, even when we may not have felt like it, even when we don't feel like we're loved the best, even when we don't feel like people listen to us, we still keep pushing because we know how important saving our democracy is. And so this election, the negative consequences or the consequences that we had, we didn't win, basically. And so it hurt, but I've already been on phone calls where people are already organizing all over again and starting all over again. So we don't stay down for long. I told people, give me a day or two just to get myself together, and we're going to just get back out there. And we've already started getting back out there. But I just thank God for our for our D9 brothers and sisters. We shape the voices for our community. We are the voice of our community, and we are the voice for the voiceless. And we're going to continue to be that. That's not going to change. But I would rather say not use this time to say what we should be doing. I want to use this time to say thank you to my D9 brothers and sisters, because we already doing the work and we're going to continue to do the work. And so just thank you to everybody that's a part of the D9.
And a member, an alumnus of Talladega College, Talladega, Alabama, a historic institution. I was just back there this past weekend for your alumni weekend, because I still moonlight from time to time as a DJ. So it was really great to be out in front of the AKA monument there, and to see some of your big sisters from the Chi chapter, and some current. But how was that, being coming from a HBCU, and how did that define your trajectory?
Yes, Talladega College, the first historically Black college in the state of Alabama, and having pledged the oldest chapter, single letter chapter, Chi. You know what it means to me, Talladega Chi.
You were what? You were what? 3? What number were you?
I was number 3.
3.
I was a tray.
Yeah.
Yes. And so
Yeah. I remember.
yes, on my line of 16, and we're so tight. But that question, and me answering that question, actually, it has me emotional right now, and I never really get emotional. But I think what it means to me is like you always have somebody to have your back. Going to a Black school, pledging a Black sorority, you always, my line sisters were the first people that reached out to me on Wednesday morning, saying we love you. We're proud of you. Stay in the fight. We know you've been out there. What it means to me is, my brothers and sisters that went to Talladega College, coming from all across the country to help me canvass and help me on campaigns from the very beginning, from working for President Obama, them coming from all over the country just to help me work on those campaigns. That's what it means to me. It's always having somebody, or thousands of people that have your back all the time. That's what it feels like. It family constantly. You go to I had to live in different states and different cities working for President Obama, and you can always count on your Talladega, my Talladega College brothers and sisters saying, oh, we got these people in Connecticut that you can stay with for a few days. We got these people in New Hampshire. We got these people in Philly. We got these people in Mississippi that you can live with, or they can make a call and say, look out for this person. So it's always like you have family everywhere. That's what it means to go to a historically Black college and university. That's what it means to pledge at a Black school. It's like you always have family that has your back all the time across the country. And family will always humble you. You know, you think you getting too
Yep.
big for your britches, they're gonna bring you all the way back down. And I love that. They like, girl, who you think you are? You know, and I have my big sisters that pledge me. Summer Woods, you know,
That's so
Amars
summer.
Comer, you know, people know
Yeah.
them all across. They call you and they're
Yep.
gonna put you right back in your place. And
Yep.
Jonathan Woods, you know, all these people gonna put you back into your, back in your place. And I love that about them. So it's just me talking about this. It touched my heart. So because I never really thought about that. I've been on podcasts, I've been in interviews for years, but that's the first time I ever received a question like that. But it's family that you always have, that always have your back. And so I thank God that I went to HBCU. I thank God that I pledged at a HBCU. It's sisters that you always have, and then going to a HBCU is brothers and sisters that you'll always have that love you dearly. My
Mm.
Delta sisters, my roommates in college were all Deltas. You know, I live with Deltas and that love me dearly. And so I just thank God for them. I really do thank God for them.
Well, I thank God for you. I thank God for the work that you're doing. I thank you, as my sister, as my family, and just keep doing what you're doing. And so much, the most important thing is thank you for being the very first guest on the Grown and Greek podcast. Welcome to the family.
Yes.
And I look forward to just seeing you just continue to soar. So thank you
Absolutely.
so
I do
much.
want to say this though. I do want to give a shout out because you are my family. You are my cousin, and I do want to say that I thank God for my family because I come from a divine nine family. We
Yeah.
have alphas and
Too many,
omegas
too
and
many.
AKAs and deltas. Yeah, we have a Greek family,
Yeah.
and I love them. And watching my cousins, um, you know, join sororities in undergrad, and being a part of it, at a very early age, my aunts and uncles. That's what got me, interested in being in a sorority, and so
Mhm.
I thank God for them. My cousins, and just watching them and watching them step and also doing work in the community. That's what really got me. My first cousins is what got me involved in wanting to be a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And so I
That's
do
right.
want to just add that point as well.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it and love you so, so much.
Love you too, and thank you so much for choosing me to be your first guest. This is an honor, and again, thank you for what you do for our community. We need you, and just keep doing the good work.
You too.
All right.
Thank you, Meredith.
See you later.
You can support Grown in Greek by subscribing to the podcast, shopping our exclusive luxury accessory line, or purchasing books from the D9 Book Club by visiting our website at grownandgreekpodcast.com. Don't forget to like, comment, and share on social media at Grown in Greek Podcast. Thanks for watching.